He walked into my Christmas shop every night. Never bought a single thing. And never left footprints in the snow. I thought he was just strange. Until I found out he was a vampire. And Christmas was trying to kill me. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more supernatural romance stories like this one. The Man Who Left No Footprints ***. Snow fell gently on Hollybell Street, turning the small town into something that looked like a Christmas card. Warm yellow lights glowed from windows, carols played softly from distant shops, and the smell of cinnamon and pine filled the air. Inside Carter's Christmas corner, Emily Carter stood behind the counter, rubbing her cold hands together. "Come on, Emily," she muttered to herself. "Smile. It's Christmas." The words felt heavy. The shop was beautiful. She had worked hard to make it that way. Red and gold ornaments filled the shelves. Tiny nutcrackers stood in neat rows. Strings of fairy lights wrapped around wooden beams. A Christmas tree stood proudly near the window, decorated with silver stars and handmade ornaments. But beauty didn't pay bills. Emily sighed and checked the clock behind the counter. 9:15 p.m. "2 more hours," she whispered. "You can do this." The bell above the door suddenly rang. Bing. Emily straightened immediately. Her tired smile returned out of habit. "Good evening. Welcome to Carter's Christmas Corner," she said cheerfully. The man stepped inside. She noticed him at once, she always did. He was tall, dressed in a long black coat that looked far too thin for the cold outside. Snowflakes clung to his dark hair, but strangely, they never melted. His skin was pale, almost glowing under the warm shop lights. His eyes, deep blue, almost silver, slowly scanned the shop. He didn't smile. He never did. "Oh," Emily said softly. "It's you again." The man looked at her, clearly hearing her, but said nothing. This was the 4th night in a row he had come. Always at the same time. Always alone. Always silent. Emily watched as he walked slowly through the aisles. His long fingers brushing against ornaments without touching them. He paused in front of the Christmas tree, staring at the lights like they held a secret only he could see. Emily leaned toward the counter and cleared her throat. "Can I help you find anything?" she asked gently. The man turned his head. For a moment their eyes met. Emily's breath caught, not because he was handsome though he was, but because his eyes looked sad. Not normal sadness. Deep sadness. Like someone who had lost something important a very long time ago. "No," he said finally. His voice was low and calm like falling snow. "No," Emily repeated. "I'm only looking," he added. She nodded slowly. "Well, take your time." He went back to walking around. Emily watched him from behind the counter, pretending to rearrange small bells. Something about him made her nervous, but not in a dangerous way. More like standing too close to a fire, warm but uncertain. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Other customers came and went. A mother bought ornaments for her children. An old couple laughed while picking a star for their tree. But the man stayed. And still he bought nothing. Finally, Emily couldn't hold her curiosity anymore. She stepped out from behind the counter and walked toward him. "You come here often," she said, trying to sound casual. He looked at her again. "Yes. Every night," she added. "Yes." Emily crossed her arms. "You never buy anything." "No." She raised an eyebrow. "Are you waiting for someone?" "No." Her patience thinned slightly. "Then why do you keep coming?" For the first time something changed in his expression. Just slightly. Like a crack in ice. "Because this place still remembers Christmas," he said. Emily frowned. "What does that mean?" He didn't answer. Instead, the shop bell rang again. Bing. A cold wind rushed inside, blowing snow across the floor. Emily turned quickly. "Sorry. Let me close that." She stopped. The door was wide open. But the man was gone. "What the?" she whispered. Emily rushed outside, her boots crunching in the snow. The street was empty. No way, she murmured. She looked down. Fresh snow covered the ground. There were footprints everywhere, from shoppers, cars, and passers-by, but none leading away from her door. Her heart began to pound. That's not funny, she said to the empty street. A sudden chill ran down her spine. Emily hurried back inside and locked the door, her hands shaking. That night, long after she closed the shop, she couldn't sleep. All she could think about was one question. How does a man walk through snow without leaving footprints? Christmas is dying ***. The next morning, Emily woke up with a headache and a strange heaviness in her chest. She sat up in bed and stared at the small Christmas tree by her window. Its lights flickered weakly, even though she hadn't touched them. That's weird, she whispered. She shook her head. I'm just tired. At least, that's what she told herself. At a shop later that day, something felt wrong. Very wrong. The bells on the door rang, but the sound felt dull. The fairy lights dimmed and brightened on their own. The air felt colder than usual, even with the heater on. A woman walked in, looked around for a few seconds, then frowned. I don't know why, the woman said slowly, but this place makes me sad. Emily blinked. Sad? Yes, the woman replied. Like Christmas already ended. She left without buying anything. Emily stood frozen behind the counter. That's the third one today, she whispered. By evening her chest felt tight. Her usual excitement, the joy she always felt during Christmas, was fading. Decorating felt tiring. Smiling felt forced. This isn't normal, Emily said to herself. At exactly 9:17 p.m., the bell rang. Bing. Her heart jumped. He was back. The man stepped inside, just as silent and calm as before. You, Emily said, pointing at him. You again. He looked at her calmly. You sound upset. You're right, she snapped. I am. She walked around the counter and stood in front of him. People are leaving my shop feeling sad, she said. My decorations are acting strange. And every night you show up like a ghost. I am not a ghost, he said quietly. That's not helping, Emily replied. He studied her face for a long moment. Something is feeding here, he said. Emily laughed nervously. Feeding? On what? Candy canes. On joy, he replied. Her smile faded. That's not funny. I'm not joking. Emily felt anger rise inside her. Look, if you're trying to scare me, it's working. So congratulations. But if you don't plan to buy anything, I want you to leave. Silence filled the shop. I can't, he said. Why not? Because you're in danger. Emily stared at him. Excuse me. He stepped closer, not threatening but serious. Christmas doesn't disappear on its own, he said. Something is taking it. Her voice trembled slightly. And you expect me to believe that? You don't have to, he replied. But you should stop trusting the church on Willow Hill. Emily froze. How do you know about that? She asked. Before he could answer, the lights flickered violently. Christmas tree shook. A low sound, almost like a whisper, filled the air. Emily clutched the counter. What is happening? She whispered. The man moved instantly, standing in front of her. Stay behind me, he ordered. The whisper stopped. The lights steadied. Silence returned. Emily looked up at him, her heart racing. What are you? She asked softly. His jaw tightened. Someone who knows monsters, he said. Because I am one. Fear and curiosity battled inside her chest. Outside, snow fell harder. And somewhere in the distance, church bells rang. Even though it wasn't midnight, Emily realized something terrifying then. Christmas wasn't just fading. It was being hunted. Enemies in the snow ***. The church bells stopped ringing as suddenly as they had started. Silence filled the shop. Emily stood frozen behind the counter. Her heart beating so hard she could hear it in her ears. The man, no, the stranger, was still standing in front of her, like a wall between her and something unseen. Why are you standing like that? she asked, her voice shaking. What are you protecting me from? He didn't answer right away. Slowly, he turned his head toward the window, his eyes narrowing. Do you feel it? He asked. Emily swallowed. Feel what? The cold, he replied. Not the normal kind. She listened carefully. The heater was still running, but the air felt heavier now. Colder. Like winter had stepped inside without opening the door. Yes, she whispered. I feel it. His shoulders relaxed slightly, as if that answer meant something. That means it has noticed you, he said. Emily laughed nervously. You keep saying it like I'm supposed to understand. He turned back to her. You're not safe tonight. That was the final straw. Enough, Emily snapped. You walk into my shop every night, you scare my customers, you talk in riddles, and now you're telling me I'm not safe? You don't even know me. His eyes softened. I know enough, he said quietly. Emily felt anger rise in her chest, pushing the fear away. You don't know anything, she shot back. I don't know who you are, where you came from, or why you think you can stand here and tell me my life is in danger. She pointed at the door. So either explain yourself or leave. For a long moment, he simply looked at her. Then he sighed. My name is Adrian, he said. The name sounded old. Heavy. Adrian what? She asked. Adrian Blackwood. Something about the name sent a chill down her spine. All right, Adrian Blackwood, Emily said, folding her arms. Now it's your turn to answer questions. He nodded once. Fair. She took a deep breath. First question. Why do you only come at night? Adrian hesitated. The sun and I don't get along, he said carefully. Emily narrowed her eyes. That's not a real answer. It's the only one I can give right now. She sighed in frustration. Second question. Why does everyone feel sad in my shop? Because something feeds on joy, he replied. And third, she said firmly. Why are you here? His gaze dropped to the floor. Because you're strong, he said. And strong light attracts dark things. Emily stared at him. That's ridiculous, she said. I'm just a shop owner. You're more than that, Adrian replied. You keep Christmas alive in a town that's slowly forgetting it. She opened her mouth to argue. The lights suddenly went out. Darkness swallowed the shop. Emily gasped. Hey! The power! A loud bang echoed from outside, followed by the sound of something heavy scraping across the snow. Emily rushed toward the window. Emily, don't, Adrian warned. But it was too late. She pulled back the curtain. Outside, the snowstorm had grown violent. Wind howled through the street. And standing across the road near the church gates was a tall figure dressed in black. It didn't move, just watched. Emily's heart sank. Who is that? She whispered. Adrian's voice turned cold. That is what's hunting you. The figure slowly raised its head. Church bells rang again. Emily backed away from the window. I don't understand any of this. You will, Adrian said. But first, you need to survive tonight. She turned to him sharply. You keep acting like you're on my side, but I don't trust you. That's wise, he replied. You shouldn't. Her eyes widened. What does that mean? Before he could answer, the door suddenly burst open. Cold air rushed in. Snow flew across the floor. Emily screamed. Adrian moved faster than she could see. He grabbed her arm and pulled her behind him just as a sharp object flew through the air, smashing into the wall where she had been standing. Emily's legs gave out. Adrian caught her. She looked up at him, trembling. What are you? She whispered. He looked down at her, his eyes glowing faintly silver in the dark. Your worst nightmare, he said softly. Then after a pause. And your only chance. The thing beneath the Carol ***. Emily didn't remember when Adrian carried her out of the shop. All she remembered was the cold, the wind, and the strange way his arms felt. Strong, steady, safe. When she opened her eyes again, she was lying on a couch. A fireplace crackled nearby. She sat up suddenly. Where am I? My home, Adrian replied. She spun around. He stood near the window, the curtains drawn tightly. His coat was gone. He wore a dark shirt that clung to his frame. In the firelight, he looked even paler. You kidnapped me, Emily said. No, he corrected. I saved you. She stood up, wobbling slightly. Take me back. I need to close my shop. You can't, Adrian said. Not tonight. She clenched her fists. You don't get to decide that. He stepped closer. Emily, he said gently, if you go back out there you will die. The words hit her like ice. Stop saying that, she whispered. Just stop. Adrian sighed and ran a hand through his hair. Sit, he said, pointing to the couch. Please. Something in his voice made her obey. She sat. He stayed standing, keeping his distance. Tell me the truth, Emily said. All of it. Adrian nodded slowly. There is an old creature, he began. Older than this town. Older than Christmas itself. Emily listened silently. It feeds on broken hope, he continued. On sadness. On people who stop believing. And the church, she asked. Yes, Adrian replied. It hides there. Pretending to bless the town while draining it. Emily shook her head. That sounds insane. I know. She looked at him. And what about you? His jaw tightened. I am a vampire. The word hung in the air. Emily laughed once. Then stopped when she saw his expression. You're serious, she whispered. Yes. Her heart pounded. Then why aren't you trying to hurt me, she asked. Because I don't feed on blood, Adrian said. She blinked. You don't. No, he replied. I feed on despair. Fear flashed across her face. Then why am I still alive? Because your hope is too strong, he said. It burns. Emily stared at him. That's why I keep coming to your shop, he admitted. Your Christmas spirit keeps me alive, without destroying you. Silence filled the room. So, Emily said slowly, you are stealing something from me. Adrian looked away. I never meant to. Anger rose inside her. You let me feel tired, she said. You let my joy fade. I protected you, he said quickly. Every night. She stood, tears in her eyes. I didn't ask for protection. I know, he said softly. But you needed it. They stared at each other, enemies caught between fear and truth. Outside, the wind howled louder. From far away, faint singing echoed. Christmas carol. Sung out of tune. Emily shivered. What is that? She asked. Adrian turned toward the window. That, he said grimly, is the sound of Christmas being eaten alive. The vampire who feeds on hope ****. The strange singing outside slowly faded away. Emily sat on the couch, hugging her arms around herself, trying to calm her breathing. The fire crackled softly, but the warmth didn't reach her chest. Adrian stood by the window, listening carefully, like a soldier waiting for an attack. So, Emily said quietly, breaking the silence. You feed on despair. Yes, Adrian replied. And my hope burns you, she added. He turned to face her. It does. She let out a short laugh, full of disbelief. That's a first. Someone telling me my Christmas spirit is dangerous. It is, he said honestly. To creatures like me. Emily stood up and walked closer, stopping a few steps away from him. Then why stay, she asked. Why keep coming back to my shop if it hurts you? Adrian hesitated. Because it reminds me of who I was, he said slowly. Before the curse. Emily tilted her head. You were cursed. Yes. She folded her arms. By who? By myself, he answered. Emily frowned. That doesn't make sense. Adrian took a deep breath. Long ago, he began, I made a choice to save a town very much like yours. To do it, I traded my humanity. I thought I was choosing the lesser evil. And instead, Emily asked, I became something that feeds on suffering, he said quietly. Emily swallowed hard. That's why I avoid people, Adrian continued. That's why I don't touch them. And that's why your shop is the only place I can stand without losing control. She looked at him, really looked at him. You're lonely, she said softly. Adrian didn't deny it. I don't want your pity, he said. I'm not giving you pity, Emily replied. I'm giving you honesty. She walked past him toward the fireplace. My parents are gone, she said suddenly. They loved Christmas more than anyone. When they died, this shop was all I had left. Adrian listened silently. Some days, Emily continued, I don't feel strong. I just pretend. Adrian turned toward her. You pretend very well. She smiled sadly. They stood there, two broken souls warmed by the same fire. Then Emily straightened. If something is feeding on my shop, she said firmly, then we stop it. Adrian's eyes widened. You don't understand what you're saying. I understand enough, she replied. You said it feeds on broken hope. So we don't let it break mine. That thing is ancient, Adrian warned. It's stronger than you think. Then we're smarter, Emily said. And stubborn. For the first time Adrian smiled just a little. You really are dangerous, he said. The next evening they returned to the shop together. Emily unlocked the door with shaking hands. You sure this is safe? She asked. No, Adrian replied honestly. But it's necessary. They stepped inside. The shop felt colder than before. The lights flickered weakly. Emily walked to the counter and took a deep breath. All right, she said. Christmas emergency plan. Adrian raised an eyebrow. You have one of those. Now I do, she replied. She began lighting candles, placing ornaments back in neat rows, humming softly. Adrian watched, confused. What are you doing? He asked. Decorating, she said simply. Joy doesn't just exist. You make it. As she worked, Adrian felt something strange. The ache inside him eased. He pressed a hand to his chest. What's wrong? Emily asked. You're helping me, he said quietly. She smiled. Good. But the peace didn't last. The door creaked open on its own. Cold air flooded in. Adrian stepped in front of Emily instantly. Stay back, he warned. A deep voice echoed through the shop. Such fragile light, the voice said. Always flickering. Emily's heart raced. A tall figure stepped inside, wearing dark robes. His face was hidden in shadow. Leave her alone, Adrian growled. The figure laughed softly. Still playing hero vampire. It mocked. You smell like hope now. Emily gripped the counter, fear rising. Who are you? She demanded. The figure turned toward her. I am hunger, it said. And Christmas belongs to me. When Christmas turns against you ***. The lights exploded. Glass shattered. Emily screamed as ornaments fell from shelves, smashing on the floor. Adrian grabbed her and pulled her close, shielding her with his body. Close your eyes, he shouted. The cold burned. The air felt sharp, like knives against her skin. When the noise stopped, Emily opened her eyes. The shop was destroyed. Shelves were broken. Decorations lay in pieces. The Christmas tree stood frozen in ice. No, Emily whispered, tears filling her eyes. My shop. Adrian loosened his hold slightly. It wanted to hurt you, he said. To make you break. Emily clenched her fists. I won't, she said through tears. The figure stepped forward, its form becoming clearer. A man's face appeared, handsome, calm, cruel. Father Malachi, Emily whispered. From the church. He smiled. You see me now. Adrian snarled. Winter demon. Father Malachi bowed slightly. A title, nothing more. Emily stepped forward despite Adrian's grip. You've been draining this town, she said angrily. Using Christmas as your food. Father Malachi's smile widened. Faith, joy, hope, he said. They all taste the same when they die. Adrian's eyes glowed silver. You won't touch her again, he growled. Malachi laughed. Look at you, he said. A vampire pretending to protect light. Malachi raised his hand. The floor cracked. Icy flames shot upward, surrounding Emily. Adrian screamed her name. He stepped into the flames without hesitation. His skin burned. Smoke rose from his coat. Emily cried out. Adrian, stop. He didn't. He reached her and pulled her into his arms. The flames died instantly. Adrian collapsed to his knees, gasping. Emily held him, sobbing. You idiot, she cried. Why would you do that? He smiled weakly. Because you matter. Malachi's expression darkened. This isn't over, he said coldly. Christmas Eve will decide everything. With that, he vanished into smoke. Silence returned. Emily held Adrian tightly. Stay with me, she whispered. Please. He nodded faintly. I will, he said. As long as I can. Outside, snow began to fall again. But this time it felt heavier. More dangerous. Because Christmas had chosen a side. And it was ready to fight back. The night he almost drank her soul ***. Adrian woke up screaming. Emily! He sat up suddenly, his chest heaving. His skin pale and damp as if he had been pulled from icy water. Pain burned through every part of him. Adrian! Emily rushed to his side immediately. You're awake, she said, her voice shaking with relief. Thank God. They were in his home again. The fire burned low, shadows dancing on the walls. Emily had wrapped him in blankets, though she knew warmth didn't mean the same thing to him as it did to her. How long was I out? Adrian asked weakly. Almost a day, Emily replied. You collapsed after you saved me. He looked at her slowly, memory returning. The flames, he whispered. Malachi. Emily nodded. He said Christmas Eve will decide everything. Adrian closed his eyes. That's worse than I feared, he said. Emily sat beside him, gripping the edge of the couch. You almost died, she said. Because of me. Adrian opened his eyes sharply. No, don't say that. You stepped into demon fire, she continued. You burned for me. I chose to, he said firmly. And I would do it again. Emily's eyes filled with tears. Why? She asked softly. Why protect me like this? Adrian struggled to sit up straighter. Because you are hope, he said. And if hope dies, everything else follows. She shook her head. I'm just a person. You're more than that, Adrian replied. Your joy weakens Malachi. That's why he wants you broken. Emily swallowed hard. And you? She asked. What does he want from you? Adrian hesitated. He wants me to return to what I am meant to be, he said quietly. A creature that feeds. Emily's stomach twisted. What happens if you don't feed? She asked. Adrian didn't answer right away. Adrian, she pressed. He looked away. I lose control. Fear crept into her chest. Lose control how? I begin to crave despair, he said. Strong despair. Pure despair. Emily's voice dropped to a whisper. Mine. Yes. The word hung heavy between them. Emily stood up and took a step back. So all this time, she said slowly, you've been fighting yourself. Yes. And you're getting weaker. Yes. She wrapped her arms around herself. Why didn't you tell me? She asked. Because I didn't want you to look at me like a monster, he said. Emily looked at him. She didn't see a monster. She saw a man who was tired of being alone. You're hungry, she said. Adrian nodded slightly. I can feel it, he admitted. Your hope is close. It's loud. Emily took a slow breath. What happens if you feed on me? She asked. Adrian's jaw tightened. You won't die, he said. But you'll lose what makes you you. Her chest ached. Christmas, she whispered. Yes. Silence filled the room. Emily walked closer. Adrian stiffened. Emily, don't. You saved me, she said. Now let me help you. He shook his head sharply. I won't take from you. She reached out and took his hand. Her warmth spread through him instantly. Adrian gasped, his eyes glowing silver. Emily, he warned. Stop. If my hope keeps you alive, she said gently, then take some. Adrian stood suddenly, backing away. No, he said, his voice breaking. I won't become that. His fangs showed briefly. Emily froze but didn't run. I trust you, she said. That was the moment he almost broke. The hunger roared inside him, loud and painful. He grabbed the wall, breathing hard. Get away from me, he growled. Emily didn't move. I won't, she whispered. Adrian lunged, then stopped inches from her face. His hands trembled. His fangs hovered near her skin. Tears burned his eyes. I can't, he choked. I can't hurt you. Emily lifted her hands slowly and placed them on his face. Then don't, she said softly. She kissed him. The hunger vanished instantly. Light flooded through Adrian's chest, warm and gentle. His fangs retracted. His breathing slowed. He pulled back, stunned. What did you do? He whispered. Emily smiled through tears. I chose you. Outside, the storm calmed. But far away, something screamed in anger. Blood on Christmas Eve ***. Christmas Eve arrived wrapped in silence. No carols played in the streets. No laughter echoed through town. Snow fell thick and heavy, covering everything in white. Emily stood in her shop, staring at the broken shelves and shattered ornaments. We can't leave it like this, she said. Adrian stood behind her. Malachi wants it this way. Then we don't give him that, Emily replied. They worked together quietly, fixing what they could. Emily rehung lights. Adrian repaired shelves with careful hands. For a moment it felt almost normal. Until the church bells rang. Emily froze. It's time, Adrian said. The bells rang again, slow and deep. From outside, dark figures moved through the snow. Emily's breath caught. People. No, Adrian replied. Followers. The door slammed open. Father Malachi stepped inside, smiling. Christmas Eve, he said warmly. How lovely. Emily stood her ground. Let this town go. Malachi laughed. I can't. They've already given up. He turned to Adrian. And you, my wayward child. Adrian stepped forward. I won't help you. You already are, Malachi said calmly. Your love for her makes you weak. Emily grabbed Adrian's hand. Malachi's eyes darkened. Take the girl, he commanded. The followers moved forward. Adrian hissed. Run, Emily. I'm not leaving you, she shouted. The shop shook violently. Snow burst through the windows. Shadows wrapped around Emily's legs. He screamed. Adrian fought through them, his strength surging with rage. Don't touch her, he roared. Blood spilled onto the snow as he battled the shadows. Emily cried out his name. Malachi smiled. See, Christmas bleeds just like everything else. Adrian fell to one knee. Emily ran to him. This ends now, she said fiercely. She stood and faced Malachi. You feed on despair, she said. Then choke on hope. Light burst from her chest, warm and bright. The followers screamed and vanished. Malachi stumbled back, furious. This isn't finished, he snarled. Christmas Day will be your last. He disappeared into the storm. Emily collapsed. Adrian caught her. You did it, he whispered in awe. She smiled weakly. Guess Christmas fought back. They held each other as snow fell quietly around them. Christmas Eve was soaked in blood and fear. But hope was still alive. The choice that breaks the curse ***. Christmas Day arrived without music. No bells. No laughter. No warmth. Snow lay heavy over the town, thick and silent, like a blanket meant to smother everything underneath it. Emily stood in the middle of the town square, her breath shaking in the cold. Around her, windows were dark. Doors were locked. The town looked abandoned, empty of joy, empty of hope. Adrian stood beside her, tense and alert. His eyes scanned every shadow, every rooftop, every frozen street. "He's close," Adrian said quietly. Emily nodded. "I can feel it." The air felt wrong, thick and heavy, pressing down on her chest. Felt like the moment just before a storm breaks. Then the church doors creaked open. Father Malachi stepped outside, dressed in dark robes that fluttered in the wind. His smile was calm and cruel, like someone who already knew the ending. "Merry Christmas," he said smoothly. Emily's fists clenched. "You've taken enough." Malachi laughed softly. "Taken? Well, they gave it freely. Every time they chose fear. Every time they stopped believing." Adrian stepped forward, his voice sharp. "Let the town go." Malachi turned to him. "You disappoint me, Adrian. You were made to feed, to consume despair, not protect it." "I chose differently," Adrian said. "And look at you now," Malachi replied. "Weak, starving, in love." The word love burned in the air. Emily felt Adrian stiffen beside her. Malachi raised his hands. The ground trembled. Shadows poured from the church like smoke, swirling through the square. The sky darkened, and the snow began to fall faster, heavier. "This ends tonight," Malachi declared. "One sacrifice, one broken heart, and Christmas belongs to me forever." Emily stepped forward. "Take me," she said. Adrian spun toward her. "No." She turned to him, her eyes steady. "You said it yourself," she whispered. "He feeds on despair, on broken hope." Adrian shook his head violently. "I won't let you do this." Emily reached up and touched his face. "You already saved me," she said softly. "Now let me save everyone." Malachi smiled wider. "A willing offering. How perfect." Adrian grabbed her hand. "If you give him your hope, you won't be the same." Emily smiled sadly. "Neither will you." She stepped away from Adrian and walked toward Malachi. The shadows closed in around her. Adrian screamed her name. "Emily!" Pain rushed through her chest. Not physical pain but something deeper. Memories flashed through her mind. Her parents, the shop, decorating trees, laughing, believing. The shadows pulled harder. Malachi's voice echoed. "Give it up. Give me your Christmas spirit." Emily closed her eyes and made a choice. She didn't let go of her hope. She offered it. "I don't give you despair," she said loudly. "I give you hope." Light burst from her chest, bright, warm, and alive. The shadows screamed. Malachi staggered backward, clutching his face. "No," he roared. "That's not how this works." But it was. The light wrapped around Adrian. He gasped as something inside him shattered. Chains breaking, hunger dissolving. The curse burned away, replaced by warmth he had never known. Malachi screamed as the light tore through him, ripping the darkness apart. "This town remembers Christmas," Emily shouted. "And so do we." With one final cry, Malachi vanished, his shadows dissolving into nothing. Silence fell. The snow slowed. The sky brightened. Emily collapsed. Adrian caught her before she hit the ground. "Emily," he whispered desperately. "Stay with me." She smiled weakly. "Guess hope wins." Lights flickered on across the town. Doors opened. People stepped outside, confused but smiling. Christmas had returned. Footprints in the snow ***. Emily woke up to laughter. Warm. Real. She opened her eyes slowly. Sunlight streamed through the window. Christmas lights twinkled gently. The smell of pine and cinnamon filled the air. She sat up. Her shop was whole again. Every ornament restored. Every shelf repaired. The tree stood tall and bright, glowing with warmth. "You're awake." Emily turned. Adrian stood near the door. But something was different. His skin looked warmer. His eyes no longer glowed unnaturally. And when he smiled, it reached his eyes. "You're different," Emily said softly. "So are you," Adrian replied. She swung her legs off the bed and stood. Outside the window, snow sparkled under the morning sun. Emily walked to the door and opened it. She stepped outside. Adrian followed. She looked down. 2 sets of footprints marked the snow. She laughed softly, tears filling her eyes. "You left footprints," she said. Adrian looked down slowly, stunned. "For the first time," he whispered. He knelt and touched the snow, disbelief written across his face. "I can feel it," he said. "The cold, the warmth, everything." Emily knelt beside him. "You're still you," she said. "Just free." He looked at her. "And you?" he asked. "What did you lose?" Emily thought for a moment. "Nothing," she said. "I learned something." "What's that?" "That Christmas spirit isn't something that can be stolen," she replied. "It's something you choose. Every day." Church bells rang. This time they sounded joyful. People filled the streets, laughing, hugging, singing. Adrian took Emily's hand. "Stay," he said quietly. "Not because you need protection, but because I need you." She squeezed his hand. "I was never leaving." Emily hung a new sign on the shop door. "Carter's Christmas Corner. Christmas is protected here." Snow continued to fall softly. 2 people stood side by side. And for the first time in a very long time, Christmas remembered them too. If this story touched you, if you believe that hope can survive even the darkest nights, then don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new story. 'Cause here, Christmas is always protected. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.